these home sewing machines don't go too crazy fast, but they still go fast. So we never want to put like our finger underneath there. We never want to be forcing around because, I mean, if that needle goes through your finger, it's really painful. I've never had that happen to anybody, so we're not going to start now. So you're going to be very careful and very serious, and anytime you're sewing, I want you to really be sewing. I want you to sit up straight. I want you to have your hands where they're supposed to be. I don't want you ever talking to your cousin and like chitty-chatting and being silly while you're sewing. If you want to be silly, we love silliness. We'll have you sit back and be really careful, okay? We're going to close that up. We're going to put this back on. That's going to give us some stability for our fabric. The only time we sew with this off is if we need to do a circle, okay? So maybe we'll take this off sometime, but for right now when we're going to start, we're going to leave this on. It gives us more of a space to hold our fabric and to keep our hands where they need to be. Whenever we sew, you already have your two threads separate like this, right? You always want to keep them separate when you get started. If for some reason the needle's down, notice how they're not separate right now. We don't ever want to start sewing with it like that, okay? If it's stuck in the machine like that, what we do is wind the wheel towards us until they're separate. When they're separate is when we can start sewing. If we don't do that, the thread will snap and it will unthread from the needle, and it's just a pain. We don't want to have to keep threading the needle every single time, so we want to always start with the thread separated. And basically, you're going to sandwich the fabric in between those threads, and that's how we would get started. Before I do that, can you see these numbers on here?
Yes.
What do they say?
8, 8, 8,
So we got 3, 8, 4, 8, 5, 8, 6, 8. Do you all like fractions? Do you know what 4, 8 is equal to?
I want to get it because I was in school.
You have it though, I know you have it.
Is it like 4?
Yeah, 4 over 8.
Oh.
I know y'all didn't sign up for math class, but it's 1/2, okay? Well, it's summertime, so I'm just going to tell you the answer. So 4 eighths equals 1/2. 6 eighths equals 3/4, right? So if you look at these lines on here, the line that we're talking about, 4 eighths or 5 eighths or 6 eighths, that's how far away the edge of the fabric is from the needle. So if I line up the edge of this fabric with that 4 eighths, that means I'm 1/2 inch away from the edge. So when we're sewing, there's something called seam allowance, and that's the fabric that's on the inside. So on my pant, for example, see how there's extra in there? We have to think about how much extra we have on the inside. Because if we make a pattern piece that fits me perfect, and then we sew it together, all of a sudden we're missing 1/2 inch and it's going to be too small. So whenever we're making our patterns or whenever we're sewing, we're always thinking about how much extra is inside. And the extra inside, again, is called seam allowance. Okay? Have you heard of a seam before? Like if you're sewing your clothes? Okay, so when we put two pieces of fabric together and we sew them, that's going to be called the seam. Okay? So this pant leg right here, this is the side seam. Okay? Right here, that's your armhole seam. Right here on the top of my shirt, it's my shoulder seam. So anytime you're putting two pieces of fabric together, you're creating a seam. The pieces, the extra part that's on the inside, that's your seam allowance. Okay? Does that all make sense?
Yes.
Okay. We're always going to be thinking about how much seam allowance we need. So that way we make it fit perfect. Okay? And the way we do that is we line up the edge of the fabric with one of those marks. So I'm going to line this up with the 6/8 one. because it's far over to the right and it's easy to see. That means I'm sewing 3/4 of an inch from that spot. Okay? I already told you you need to have your threads separated. One on the top, one on the bottom. And then we can sandwich this fabric inside. I'm going to line it up with the 6/8. And then I'm going to wind the wheel towards me and drop the needle into the fabric. We want to do that first because then I can make sure that it's in the right spot. You see, if you drop the foot, then it sort of becomes hard to move the fabric around. So we always want to leave the foot up, separate threads, get the sandwich with the fabric on the side, drop the needle, and then drop the foot. Whenever we start sewing, we always want to start with the needle inside the fabric. If we start with the needle up here, the moment you press the gas, it unthreads real quick. And again, that's a pain. We don't want to keep having the thread loose. So we avoid that by starting with the fabric, with the needle inside the fabric. Okay? And we switch over just a little bit. So I'm going to be nice and squared up with this machine. Okay? I'm going to do the best I can to guide it on both sides. Right now it's going to be kind of hard to put your hand on this side, so I'm going to put it down here, but I'm going to be really careful. I don't want to put it up underneath there. This foot should be a nice barrier for you, but we don't really want to get up that close. Once I got it going, I'm going to give it a little gap. And this might be the machine that doesn't want to pull the fabric. You ready to try it? Yeah. All right. You go ahead and put your foot under there.
Is this going to be your first time sewing? Oh my goodness, this is so exciting.
Nice. How'd that feel? Cool deal. Alright, so let me show you how to end the process. So you're going to lift up the foot and you're going to pull it out. See how the threads are separate? That means you can pull it out. You'd always want to pull it out over here to the left, and then you're going to go ahead and cut it. So you go ahead and cut it. Yep. Cool. And then you're done.
Cool.
That's cool, huh? You want to try it again? Okay. This time you get it set up. Remember all those things that I said. You don't have to thread it again. You just threaded it a few times. But I do want you to line it up, maybe with that edge, and see if you can make it go straight the whole time. Okay? Alright, here you go. Let's try that side. So you're going to put the needle in first. So wind towards you. Actually, lift the foot up real quick. Let's get that thread around that. You want to help me get that thread around that loop? Oh, you got it almost. You want some help?
Thank you guys for watching. We will see you later. This has been an awesome educational kids course here at Stitch Factory in downtown Las Vegas. And we'll see you tomorrow for our next broadcast. Bye.
And then we put it down.